CTB. You know who it is.
YouTube, what's going on? It's your boy ConcisetheBarber. In this video, we are going to do the Clipper Wars mid-year. What is the best clipper out there right now? I know I said it before, I'm gonna get some heat. I just did the trimmer wars and it seems like a lot of people agreed to what I said, but I did get some feedback that some people didn't care for it, but it's okay. This is the Clipper Wars. This one's going to be a little bit different than the trimmers because I'm not doing a top 15. I'm just going to be able to do a top 10. So let's get into this video and let me tell you guys what my top 10 are. So they are the Low Pro FX1. You have the Gold FX1. You have the JRL Onyx Clipper. You have the Wall Black Magic Clip. You have Stylecraft Metal Instinct Clipper. You have the Cyborg Clipper from Gamma. You have the Stylecraft Rebel Clipper. You have the Andis Cordless Master. You have the Instinct X Clipper. And you have the Suprint Obsidian Clipper. Now, that is my top 10. I will be breaking it down, what made it to the top 5 and why I chose what I chose. So doing this list wasn't easy for me at all. I actually took longer doing the clipper one due to the fact that it's very subjective. It's really up to what your liking really is. Other than, you know, performance, a lot of them honestly can comparably like perform almost the same, but I started to get into other things about it, the ergonomics, the feel, the blades, stuff like that to me matters. So this is the reason why my top 5 are what they are and the other 5 did not make the list. So let's talk about what did not make my top 5. The first clipper I'm going to talk about is the Obsidian Clipper. Even though this thing is a beast, I did have to put a different type of blade on it. So anytime I have to modify, you know, and it's not a natural state, to me, I can't put it in my top 5. But the weight of this, the rubber, the grip, everything about it is really, really nice. I like the click lever. I love the display, but the blade gets hot. So if the blade gets hot, it's kind of hard for me to really say that this is going to be in my top 5. I believe it has a 3 hours runtime, 2 hour charge time. The battery life as well. It's not that loud. The weight of it, like I said, to me is just perfect. So nothing wrong with this clipper. Honestly, I think it's one of the most slept on clippers since it's not like one of the most name brands out there. But the Super Obsidian did not make my top 5, but it is still an amazing clipper. And also it is budget friendly. All right, so another one that did not make my top 5 is the Gamma Cyborg Clipper, only due to the fact that, how can I say this? It is a little bit on the heavier side. So using it all day, every day, could not put that on the top 5, but it does have a good runtime. I believe it's 3 hours, 7,500 RPMs. Still, you know, great motor. It performs well, but it's not the everyday use type of clipper that I could actually put in the top 5 and say this is the one that you need to have hands down. I like it preferably, but this is not just about me, but this is about everybody. So I'm saying right now that it's a great clipper, but it just does not fit. It doesn't fit everybody. It is very a personable type of clipper. So that's why I didn't make it to my top 5, but it is still a dope clipper. The next one I didn't make it on my list is the Stylecraft Instinct X. I know I'm gonna get some heat for that. I know a lot of people like that clipper, but for me, respectfully, you know, the ergonomics, how plain it just is, it doesn't have much of a grip, doesn't have, you know, the feel of it is just not there for me. It is light, wish I had a little bit more weight to it. And I don't know, the design is just a little bit off to me. Now the ergos kind of remind me of the ergos, but the ergos at least gave you that ergonomic, like that bend, you know what I mean? That curvature, that, you know, the Instinct X does not. So for me, it did not make my top 5. Another one that did not make the top 5, this is also one that I just like to have around, which is the Andis Masters. That didn't make the top 5 due to the fact that it can be people's everyday clipper, but just like how I said about the Gamma Cyborg Clipper, it is very subjective. This is something that I feel like is very personable. This is not a clipper that's just like, to me, that everybody's just going to have on the station and they're going to use throughout the whole day. You're going to find some barbers that will, and I would say, you know, my age, I'm like in 35 and up, you know what I mean? Like I think we respect and honor the cordless masters. There are some people younger than me that still do, but what I'm trying to say is that this is not the everyday use type of clipper that I see in everybody's shop using. day in, day out, nonstop. There's been a lot of complications with them. You know, some people don't like how they sound, some people don't like the battery life, but they cut amazing, to be honest. Like, there's nothing wrong with them. But they just didn't make my top 10, even by the, you know, the scorecard, even by points, it didn't make the top 10. So that being said, an amazing, honorable clipper, just didn't make my top 5. So yeah, sorry, Masters, but yeah. And I have one more that did not make it. This is the last one, and I know I'm gonna get some heat, and that's fine, but I have to say it. I had the Metal Instinct clipper in my top 10, and it didn't make it to my top 5. And the main reason why I didn't make it to my top 5, not just because of the fact of the price, but honestly, I have not used it. I have not used that clipper. So for my top 5, out of respect, it couldn't get in the top 5. It didn't make no sense for me to say it's in my top 5 and I haven't used the clipper. That would be false of me to say like it's very comparable to this or that. The Instincts, the original ones that did come out, they're great, but for me, I think the metal ones will probably sound a lot better, cut a lot better. It probably is going to be in somebody's top 5. It could be in my top 3 later down the road. But as of right now, since I have not used it, it is not in my top 5. So I do apologize for all of those that really thought that that was going to be number 1 or whatever, but it's not my top 5. I haven't used it yet. Instinct trimmer, the Metal Instinct trimmer was my number 1. I've used it, tested it out. That could change, but we'll see. So that being said, let's talk about the top 5, right? In the next video, I am going to tell you exactly the whole point situation, how I even graded them. But this is my top 5. Like I said, I'm gonna get some heat. It is what it is, but it's my top 5. I use these clippers. I know how they work. All right, so first things first, in my top 5 is the Low Pro FX1. Some people love this clipper. Some people cannot stand this clipper. I've noticed that. But for me, everything about this clipper works very, very well. And it's just something about it. I love the power, the strength of it. I love this blue blade. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to see exactly where it stands in my top 5, but it made it to the top 5. All right. The next one is the Gold FX. If I'm going to have the Low Pros in there, I got to have the Gold FX in there. And honestly, it's something about these. Shout out to Babyliss. They have cut down the sound. It cuts very smooth. It fits well in hand. I have huge hands, so I have no problems using this at all. But I do like this clipper. I don't know what it is about it. Even the click got even a little bit more smoother for me. Now it can still work on the click lever, but it still got a little bit, you know, it still got smoother for me. But they did it right. So with this new MIM blade, this made it to the top 5. The next one is the JRL clipper. This is the Ghost Edition. I do have just the original Black Edition as well. So these made it to the top 5 easily, hands down. This is probably an interesting clipper that everybody has been talking about recently, and I will be breaking it down, like, you know, in my point section of how I graded these and how they got to my top 5. Let's see where that one placed. Those 3 is kind of expected in a sense, right? To some people. The next 2 is probably not going to be expected, but it's in my top 5. The next one is the Stylecraft Rebel clipper. I have used the Rebel clipper. This thing, to me, it has always been a great clipper, but they have upgraded it and it is not as loud. The last one that I recently had wasn't even that loud, but they made it even more quieter. So shout out to them. That clipper, I feel like, got slept on for some time, but I see it making a comeback. And this clipper can probably easily be in some people's top 10, but not their top 5. But it is in my top 5 because I like literally almost everything about it. So I love the blade. It was the first, I believe it was one of the first clippers to come out with the fusion blade, and it just cuts well and it's straight powerful. So it's probably like up there with the Masters, how some people love it and some people can't stand it. But to me, the Rebel clipper is one of those clippers that made it to my top 5. And then the last one, before y'all throw stuff at me, you know what I mean? I had to keep this OG due to the fact that this cutting blade still has not been challenged yet, in a sense. So shout out to Wall. Black Magic clips. Definitely got to give it into my top 5. Now, where does it place? We will see, but it's in my top 5 due to just the performance alone. All the other things that it might come with or might not come with, we're going to talk about that, but the Black Magic clips from Wall is far by none one of the best clippers that ever came out. But the fact that they keep continuing to upgrade it, honestly, y'all, I had to put it on there because it was looking at me and I was looking at it. It was looking at me and it was like, you really gonna leave me out? And I'm like, I don't know. I looked at everything else that I had in my top 10 and I'm like, nah, I can't leave it out, man. It cuts, like the blend is so, it just blends so well. So it's in my top 5, but like I said, through the grading, grading scale that I'm going to do, we'll see where it places in my top 5. So Clipper Wars has started. There's going to be some talk about it. I already know about, Concise might be crazy. The Metal Instincts is the best ones out there. And it could be true. It could be true, but I haven't used them. So I'm not going to lie to y'all and act like I used something and I didn't. So that being said, that's part 1. We will be doing a part 2. I didn't think I was, but as long as more and more I was talking, I need to do a part 2 so you guys can understand how I broke it down the way that I did. All right. So thank y'all for watching. I'll see y'all in the next video. Y'all be blessed.
CTB, you know who it is.